look at the satellite photos of the Delta before and after the storm, you can see that the storm basically submerged half of the Delta. We deployed all our staff from the 105 townships where we normally work in the country, and we brought them down to the Delta, and the stories they were coming back with, they themselves were pretty traumatized by what they saw. After being in these hard-hit villages, they were in shock and were having to cope with the trauma themselves. After getting over the initial shock of what they saw, they basically rose to the occasion, and our staff recognized people needed clean drinking water and shelter.
For the past 4 years, we've had staff working in rural areas across Myanmar, so they know villages really well, and we are able to get assistance directly to the most remote villages right away. Emergency shelter was a critical need, so we quickly mobilized our staff to buy tarpaulins locally here, and we ended up, over a course of about 6 weeks, distributing 73,000 temporary emergency shelters for families. We were also able to provide 4,000 emergency water containers. These are about 200-gallon containers for villages to have those critical supplies right away. Our specialty is working with small plot farmers. We knew it was critical to get them assistance so they could restart farming, to grow food, so they wouldn't have to depend on food aid.
We basically designed a package of inputs to get farm families back on their feet. And the package consisted of rice seed, tilling machines, and diesel, and fertilizer, and cash for farm labor. And there was a very narrow window of opportunity where everything needed to be planted by end of July, first week in August. Actually, finding the right kind of rice seed was very complicated.
So
we moved over 10,000 metric tons of seed around to 11 townships in about 1,200 villages in a matter of basically a month. Delivering a set of inputs to one time only is fairly easy, but to do it repeatedly about 5 times over, it was really tough, and especially in the height of the monsoon rains. Our staff was just amazing. A lot of them had never been around water, they didn't know how to swim, and they were on boats constantly in the pouring rain and with leeches and mud, but they absolutely were motivated and energized to help in this emergency. The other thing we did was we really wanted to keep the end user in mind, and we said, what is important to families who are receiving this help? And the things that were very important to them in the whole delivery process was to have transparency so that everyone knew what was going on. Nothing was hidden from people. We printed out flyers and banners with a lot of information on who was eligible, and the flyers went to each household in the village. Then, number 2, equity was very important, a sense of fairness. We made sure to deliver to the entire village tract because we didn't want to just single out a village, and that would create more tension. And the last thing was affirming people's dignities, that they had survived. And in doing the delivery, it was all done publicly in front of the entire village. And people were called up by name. People said they very much appreciated this.
Nagin Monan died at a kama. Manamula Leon, Gono Dini at the Georgia, Puenia, Yavian Age, a Selago, Gomamia, Yave, Edgeman of the John, a young Satama Kandar. Now, Dilerio, below Biami, Tonya Sabuya Bamle. I need what to let a Mario to Dolio Guni Abigabale. Bali Guni get the lesson, the Sasside, Dabolene, Sade, no, Passandi or Yezi or Musabadi or the Domia Joro Bamboo Guni Gabale. General Miai Jesu than Nibale. A day boga, Tosaka, and beyond Pahoni, Labi, Jumi, the Gadulu, General Yinam Alukanda.